Hey guys, so today is going to be a voiced over training video. I'm going to take you through my version of Johnny Candito's 6-week strength training program, and this is an upper body day. So if you like this video, make sure you smash that like button. Let's jump in. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get warmed up. Now, what you see here is called overspeed eccentric band pushdowns. I usually aim for somewhere between 50 to 100 reps. There's not a lot of resistance here. The goal is not to fatigue the muscle. It's really to get blood flow into the elbows, get my joints nice and ready. That way, when it comes to pressing, I'm ready to go. And I'm going to actually do band pull-aparts right after I do these band pushdowns. So basically, I'll superset them. For my band pull-aparts, you're going to see me do 10 to 12 reps, okay? And then altogether, I will do 3 sets. So again, I'd start with my band pushdowns, followed by my band pull-aparts, wait about 30 seconds, do another set, 30 more seconds, and finish up with a third set. After that third set, I feel like I have good blood flow into my elbows, my shoulders feel nice and loose and ready to go for pressing. And you'll also notice I'm wearing elbow sleeves. Now those don't add anything to my total. It's not like I can bench more with those elbow sleeves. They're not really thick, but what they're doing is they're keeping my joints, my elbows nice and warm so that when I do a lot of volume with pressing, which you'll see today, shoulder presses, bench presses, all kinds of pressing, my joints are going to stay feeling good. So I'm going to quick go and do some warm-ups. Now, this is 135 pounds for 14 reps. Usually I'll do something 12 to 14 reps just to get the blood moving even more. And something I picked up from Dan Green, amazing powerlifter, he recommends that you don't use your competition arch if you arch on a bench press until you get to your heavy warm-up set. So you'll see I do that. Now I'm up to 185 pounds. I'll do that for 8 reps. Now this is probably a weight I could do for, I don't know, maybe 30 plus reps, but again, I'm not trying to exhaust my muscles. I'm just making sure everything feels good. I'm looking at my bar path is where I want it to be. And, just that way I know I'm ready to go. So here's a little bit heavier, 225 pounds for 5 reps. Still, my back is flat. Now you'll see on this next warm-up, I do have a bit of an arch on my back. And that's because the weight's a little bit heavier, okay? And I really want to get that groove in place so that when it comes to my work sets, I'm ready to go. So here's my first work set. 325 pounds, I'm going to do 2 reps. This is what's prescribed on the program. Can I do more than 10 reps? Absolutely. But the goal is not to completely go to failure. It's to work within a certain rep range right now. Again, this is more of a hypertrophy workout. So you can see this next set, the weight will get a little bit heavier. 345 for 8 reps. If you're being specific, and I'm a power lifter, so I need to add all the weight there I can, we got 345 and a quarter. I don't know if that red t-shirt is a quarter, but we're going to say it is. Give it to me, guys. Come on. All right. Now, this will be the heaviest set I do today, my top set. What I do for my heaviest set in any bench workout is I'll pause it, because I really want to mimic the competition, lift that I'm going to have to do on a platform. So for this, I'm going to do 365 for 9 reps. Now again, I have that shirt on one end and I have a towel on the other to kind of balance things out. So we'll go ahead and say 365.5 pounds. Now when I'm doing this, I am squeezing the heck out of my glutes right now. I'm kind of driving myself back, okay, towards the wall, through my heels. And I'm really actually feeling my lats a lot, okay? When I lower the bar, my lats are tight. And I'm actually, when I'm pressing back up, not just feeling that in my pecs and tris, I'm feeling it in my lats too. So you've seen me talk about these floor flies before. I will say this is hands down my favorite hypertrophy movement for building pec muscles. So you can see you get a nice good stretch at the bottom. My pecs ball up and get tight at the top when I'm contracting really hard. As far as tempo, I usually aim for about 2 seconds up and about 3 seconds down. If you stick to that pace, you're going to be good. You'll also notice that my rep range is a bit higher. So generally for me, 14 to 18 reps is the sweet spot. That's where I can feel all the work in my pecs. When I start lowering the rep range using heavier weight, it'll spill into my shoulders more. I'll feel it more in my front delts. And that's not what I want right now. And as far as how far I go with these sets, I generally will stop about one repetition short of where I would fail. So with this, I might have done 19, maybe 20 reps, but I stopped at 18 because I knew the next rep would not be pretty. I'd probably have to use some body English, and that's usually where people wind up in trouble. That's why, even after 28 years of lifting, my joints are healthy because I know where my body's limits are, and I don't use a lot of body English when I lift. All right, second set, so still going with 45 pounds. I'm a little bit fatigued at this point. I did those bench sets. I did a couple. Now I'm a couple sets in with my flies. But I'm still in that sweet spot for that 14 to 18 reps. I know when I'm in that range, it's absolutely hitting my pecs hard. Something else you might notice, I do like to elevate my hips. I recommend trying both ways. Try with your hips flat, but try elevating them as well. I find I get more pec activation when I have my hips elevated. And really what I'm trying to do when I raise it, I'm thinking about hugging a tree. So if you're having trouble kind of thinking about how to do these, just picture a big tree in front of you and really keep your arms in a position where you're just hugging that tree. That's what I'm thinking about when I do this. And you'll notice when I finish my set, I throw my arms behind my head and I lay flat on the floor. Guys, the stretch that you feel in your chest after a set of these is phenomenal. So, you've got a lot of blood pumping in that muscle group, and then you throw your arms back. Oh, dude, it feels good. So you'll notice this set, I did lower the weight 5 pounds. Because again, I want to stick in that target rep range that I know works best for me, which goes against what a lot of people might tell you. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, you got to do 8 to 12. That's where all the muscle growth occurs. Guys, I'm going to say be your own scientist, all right? Keep a journal. See how your progress is. You can take measurements, right? Grab a tape measure, see where your progress is after several weeks by doing a certain exercise with a certain style of movement. Don't just go by what other people say because we're all individual. You have to find what works best for you. And again, guys, I like doing this on a floor because it limits that back range to the motion. Whereas if I was lying on a bench, I'm sure you can imagine, I can actually get my elbows underneath my body. And, some people may be able to get away with that. But I know a lot of people, myself included, if I were to do that, I would wind up with some different shoulder pains and things that really would prohibit my training. And here comes that stretch, guys. I'm telling you, this is my favorite part of chest workouts. Getting a huge pump from the flies and then feeling a nice stretch after. So this is going to be the last set of the floor flies. Again, I'm going to hit 16 reps. And notice my tempo. I'm not going super fast, right? I'm usually taking about 3 seconds to lower the weight, feeling a good stretch, and then coming back up, squeezing really hard at the top. If you want to feel even more, what you can do is when you get to the top, pause for 1 to 2 seconds and hold that contraction before you lower. This absolutely will develop your pecs if that's your goal. And if you want to see someone else, how they perform it, check out John Meadows. The guy is a legend when it comes to bodybuilding, and he actually has some powerlifting background as well. But it absolutely is an effective exercise for hypertrophy with your chest. So you can see I'm actually breathing a bit on this, guys. It's not easy, all right? It really is a tough exercise when you do it correctly and really feel it in your pecs throughout. See, that was my last rep. I started to use a little bit of body English, so I called it. You know, that's good. Those muscle fibers are absolutely trashed right now. And there's that glorious stretch. Definitely hit that stretch if you do this. Next up, we're going to jump into shoulders. Now, my shoulders are already pretty warm from the pressing, so I'm just going to do one quick warm-up set, which I recommend for you guys as well. This lets me get a little bit more blood flow in the area, but it also is a great way to practice the motion before you hop up to a heavier weight. You know, it helps you lock that groove in. Now we're going to jump right into a work set. So this is 165 pounds for 10. I can absolutely do more weight, but keep in mind I'm already a bit fatigued from my earlier bench sets. You know, when I do these, what I like to do is I will pick a grip width that gives me the fullest range of motion. So for me, that's a little bit wider than shoulder width. I don't like to have jerky movements, so you'll see I'm very controlled in how I lower the weight and how I raise the weight. So we bumped up the weight a little bit more. We're up to 185 pounds. Again, I'm following what's prescribed for the program, and so this rep range, I might have been able to hit a couple extra, but again, it's important to follow your programming. All right, guys, this is going to be my last OHP set. So I threw 225. I'm going to do that for 6 reps. Now, if I was fresh, I might get that for around 9 reps. But again, guys, remember, your rep ranges will shift when you try new programs because other muscles will be fatigued. And now I'm going to perform some chin-ups. You'll see that I do a different style each set, guys. I like to keep hitting my muscles from different angles. The other benefit is that you're going to feel less mental fatigue. So if I did 3 or 4 sets with the same grip, you know, I probably wouldn't be as driven come that final set. Whereas when I switch my grip width a bit, I absolutely feel more motivated. You know, I'm just mentally ready to go. So I have a V grip with this. Next, I wanted to get a little bit of ab work in. I didn't want to really destroy my abs because I do have to do some squatting the next day. But if you're capable of doing this, great. You know, throw your legs up in the air, hold them in position, and do your set. If you're not quite at that strength level yet, another variation, you can simply bend the knee, right? So have your knees parallel and do your pull-up set. So I just flipped around so you guys can kind of see what this looks like. And some people I'm sure are like, well, Dom, why aren't you locking out? You know, why aren't you doing dead hang style? First of all, because I feel that this gives me a tremendous pump in my back, all right? I'm absolutely tearing apart those back muscle fibers. The other part to that is I don't advocate against dead hangs, but for the type of training I'm doing right now, this is absolutely a better way to go. It's keeping my shoulders healthy. So next up, we're going to switch to some back work. One of my favorite exercises for back is the one-arm dumbbell row, but guys, you really want to make sure you're doing it correctly. So notice where my elbow is. It's not going straight up and down to my side, it's actually coming up and more back towards my waist. It's kind of like when you go to start one of those older lawnmowers. That's kind of the motion you want to mimic here. Okay, so you want to contract your elbow up really hard at the top, and then when I'm at the bottom, I'm feeling a stretch in my lat. I want to really extend that range of motion. And I will throw the straps on. I absolutely do not have any issues with grip strength. I can, I can deadlift well over 600 pounds without straps. But you'll see I do a ton of volume with pulling. And, this is a workout that doesn't just happen once a week now. I'm actually doing this multiple times a week. And so, in order to not limit what my back can handle by my forearms, which are much smaller, I do use straps. I'm not the only one that would advise that. I mean, if you want to see some really top level guys, look at Pete Rubish. Pete in competition can pull 900 pounds. He doesn't need straps to do that. But if you watch him train and he actually talks about this, he will throw on straps. So guys, don't buy into what you hear some of the gurus say, like, oh, don't use straps, Come on, they work. Just, it's a tool. Now, typically, I would use a bit of a heavier weight. When I go train at the gym, I will typically go up to 110, sometimes 120 pounds. So for me, when it comes to the one-arm dumbbell row, the rep range where I feel the target muscles working best is generally going to be anywhere from 8 to 12. Now, I'm using a little bit of a lighter weight here, so my reps are higher. But again, guys, that's a personal thing, and you have to discover it for yourself. When I coach clients, that's something I work with them on is what rep ranges seem to be most effective for your training. So that's the missus just pulled up, and I'm very grateful that she didn't drive the car in the garage. Otherwise, I would be doing my dumbbell rows while inhaling exhaust fumes, which would not be cool. So you can see I really exaggerate the bottom of that motion to stretch the crap out of my lat. And then when I come to the top, I'm pulling my elbow high. Now that I see it on video, you can actually see my elbows going up and kind of beyond where my spine is at the top. All right, so again, this is just one more example of how I like to do these. Now, you can see at the bottom, I'm getting a great stretch, and at the top, I'm getting a really good contraction. When you're pulling the weight up, don't think of doing it explosive, okay? Don't think about doing it in like a jerking fashion, all right? The way I recommend to do it is you're squeezing it up. And that's not to say there's not a time and a place to use explosive movements. Absolutely there is. But, for this particular workout where hypertrophy is the goal, I'm looking for a little more time under tension. I'm looking to really have that deep mind muscle connection. And I need to make sure that the target muscle is what I feel. And this style of lifting is how I do that. So remember, big stretch, big contraction, and you're squeezing up. You're not exploding up, you're squeezing up. And I've experimented, I've tried both styles. I used to grab maybe 150 pounds and just jerk the weight up for 8-9 reps. And I can honestly say I have gotten better back development, lightening the weight a bit, really focusing in on that stretch and the contraction. All right, guys, here's one of my favorite exercises. I don't see these in gyms much, and I don't understand why, because they're amazing. So this is a parallel row. You can see I start my set with my feet extended straight out in front of me. It's a lot tougher than it looks. I actually like to think about a bench press when I do this movement. So, I'm actually pulling the bar up right around where the touch point would be during my bench press. So that's where I'm pulling the bar into myself. And then, when I lower, you can see I'm not just dropping down, right? You want to make sure it's a controlled lower. But this is going to be a drop set. So you'll notice after I do those first 10 reps, to make things a little easier and really fatigue the muscle, I bend my knee and I continue with the exact same type of squeeze, right? I'm pulling the bar up really low, kind of just below my nipples. And another tip is when I do this, I like to use a grip width that mimics my competition bench press. Now, right now, I know you guys have seen me in the past use a little bit of a narrower grip because I am a tricep dominant bench presser. But, I've had some issues with tendonitis in my right elbow. So I am currently working more with a little bit of a shoulder, a little wider than shoulder width grip. Fortunately, I haven't lost much in the way of my strength, but this grip width takes all the pain out of that joint. So we're going to stick with that for now. And guys, when you go to try this, don't be surprised if you can't get several reps with straight legs, if especially it's a newer exercise. I would recommend actually trying it out with bent legs at first to see how you do with it, see how you're feeling the muscle, right? If you're not feeling it in the back and your lats and, when you're contracting up, you may need to adjust things. You may need to, need to adjust your tempo. You may need to adjust your grip width. But really, guys, you should be feeling that pretty well in the back. All right, now it's time for some pain. Calf training, guys. I would say genetically, calves are the weakest body part I have as far as my muscle groups go. And I've just happened upon what I found to be my most effective way to develop calves in the last couple years. And hate to say it, but it's by pushing through pain barriers. Really, it is. So what I'm doing here is unilateral calf raise. I'm going to follow it up with a drop set. So I'll do one leg until complete failure. And, if you need a little bit of body English, that's okay. The calf muscle, it's not like a shoulder joint or, another area of your body where you're going to run into problems. I find that with calves, you can go balls to the wall, go all out, make it hurt and then make it hurt more, guys, honestly. And what I like to do, like I said, I will keep my weight right on the ball of my foot. When I'm raising up, my goal is almost like a ballerina. I want to almost get to my toes. I'm not quite able to do that, but I get as close as I can. I'll contract for a second or two, and then when I lower it, I feel a good stretch, okay? Now, as far as where I have that dumbbell position, it's not a lot of weight. I think it was something around 30, 35 pounds. But I will basically put the dumbbell in a position where most of the weights felt right over my foot, all right? And that's kind of how I go about that. But I've probably put about 2 inches on my calves in the past 6 months to a year. And this is what I credit it to, this particular type of calf raise. And here comes the pain. So my calves are already burning right now. They're really tired. But what I'll do is I'll drop the weight. I will switch to both legs. And this is my drop set. So I'm, again, exaggerating the range of motion, getting up on my toes, really feeling a stretch at the bottom. And I'm going to continue repping until I cannot do another rep. When I say this hurts, guys, for me, I don't like it. But it works, guys. I'm telling you, if you're struggling to develop calves, I recommend this exercise. I would do 4 sets, and I would do it twice a week. If you do it exactly like I'm showing you here, for 4 sets, twice a week, and your calves don't grow, send me an email. We'll figure something out, because guys, this has been effective not just for me, but a lot of people I've had implement this in their workouts. And also what I find is calves seem to respond really well to a little bit of a higher rep range. Because think about this, your calf, the range of motion they go through to fully contract and to kind of extend is not very long, all right? So if I'm only doing, I don't know, 8, 10, 11 reps, that's not a lot of time under tension. And that's a very important thing to have an understanding of when it comes to growth for your muscles, is time under tension. There's actually studies that show a certain amount of time under tension is more effective when it comes to hypertrophy and developing the muscle size. And so I believe that's probably why, you're going to find when you work in a little bit of a higher rep range, but really focus on the mind-muscle connection, the stretch, the contraction, you're going to get awesome results. I don't have those studies in front of me. I'll have to do a video about them. But I do know it's generally in the range of like 45 seconds to somewhere around like 120 seconds is a really good range. All right, guys, here comes the pain. Now, I would say somewhere around rep 5, I just wanted to stop. But unfortunately, the growth happens in the pain when you pass the pain zone with calves. So this is going to be that last set. Now, you can see, obviously, I'm not able to perform as many reps now. My calves are quite tired at this point. So just 12 reps on each leg. And in hindsight, I probably could have reduced the weight, the dumbbell weight, by 5, maybe even 10 pounds to work in a little bit of a higher rep range. But honestly, I just wanted to kind of finish up, so I stuck with the same weight to get it done. And you'll figure out what that question mark is in a minute. This right here is probably the most painful part of the entire workout. All right, Don, what the heck are you doing right now? Well, guys, like I said, calves are all about going through your pain threshold, all right? So I was pretty exhausted, but I did that. Now, here's a quick rundown of my version of Candito's program. You look at the top, that's kind of how it's prescribed. If you go to Johnny Candito's website, you can find his 6-week program there. Again, this is week 2. It's a bench press day, and it's a hypertrophy focus. You can see there's a little bit of flexibility insofar as how he lays out the last couple exercises. You kind of can pick different options. Not going to go through that now, but if you go to the website, it will talk about that. Now, my version is a bit different. I've arranged the exercises in a bit of a different order that makes more sense to me. I kind of want to exhaust my pecs, so I followed bench with flies. Then I moved into OHP because my shoulders were already ready to go. hit my back exercise, and then finish it up with calves. So it's very close to what Johnny Candito recommends, but I kind of put my own spin on it based on my 28 years of lifting and hypertrophy. Guys, if you like this style of video, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe. There's going to be lots of upgrades coming, better sound quality, better video quality, new editing software. Leave a comment below.